everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This marks the start of a new little mini-series, just the 3 episodes for this week before we move back to one of our currently running series. Today, though, we are playing a new system. Rules-like game called Goblin Quest, designed by Grant Howitt and illustrated by John Morris, Iguanamouth, Tim Wilkinson Lewis, and others. The link to purchase it and support these wonderful creators is in the description. We aren't sponsored, but are huge fans of this game they have created, as well as some of the other games by Rowan Rook and D-Card, the company that publishes Goblin Quest.
You picked a fun one this time, Ben.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about it at first, but this seems like a good time.
I'm still not sold.
Oh, quit being such a Grinch, Donald.
Shut up, Joe. I just don't like the idea of dying a bunch.
Lighten up, Donald.
All right, well, yes, Goblin Quest is about dying a lot. Let's start with a bit of background, the intro to Goblin Quest from the book.
A new day dawns on the great battle camp. The orcs march in the square outside their barracks, the hobgoblins file and cross-reference in the grey wards, the bugbears plot and scheme in the dun inn. Above it all, the black tower of the wizard stands proud, holding the wicked sorcerer generals that command the army to the war, and underfoot, in the dank caverns under the world, in the green pits, spawn the goblins. The goblins are bred for war, for cannon fodder, for hopeless attacks, for death. You are a goblin. You have a week to live and you are going to make a mark. You are going to undertake a goblin quest.
So, this marks the first day of your Goblin Clutch's very short lives. It is a calmer day in the Green Pits. The last conflict is ancient history, almost 3 days ago, and you 3 goblin groups have undertaken the most serious goblin quest, retrieve the infamous stick of the goblin boss from the top of Mount High Up Pointy Bit, a nearby mountain that is more akin to a steep hill. Do you want to introduce your groups? Each of you have 5 goblins, but we will just introduce the first for now, and the special characteristics of your group, as well as their dream and their heirloom item.
All right, I'm getting into this now. I'll go first. My group is the honorific Trumples and Grumples. We are known for being the loudest goblins there ever were, and strongly believe that any problem can be solved by making more noise. Our dream is to be remembered as the smartest and loudest goblins in the world, and our quirk is that we always yell, even if whispering would do. My first goblin is named Don. My heirloom item is the Comb of Destiny, a wooden stick that sort of resembles a comb. It might be useful if my goblins had hair.
Nice. All right, my group is the Mossy Ears. We have a green fungus that grows from our ears, which we are convinced has given us the ability to communicate with plants and rocks. Our dream is to one day be planted in a garden so we can join our brothers in the soil. And our quirk is that we talk to rocks and plants because if you talk slow enough, they will hear us. We also rub leaves on ourselves for protection. My first goblin is Baraka Rock. My heirloom is the crack bottle, a glass bottle that is broken and can't hold anything.
This is a lot different than that last game we played, but I'm here for it, I guess. My group is the Soggy Boggles. We are known for always being covered in mud and grime. Did you know that mud makes a goblin invisible? We do. Our dream is to one day bathe in a real pond and catch a fish, but we don't really know what fish are. Our quirk is that we leave a trail of mud everywhere. We go and think that more mud is better, even if it means we are slipping and sliding all over the place. My first goblin is Joden. We have the Ogre's Toothpick. It's just a little stick.
Yeah, this is as far from Call of Cthulhu as one can get.
But it's a fun break, I think. All right, we can now begin our quest. Each quest is broken down into a couple of key objectives. For this, the 3 objectives are to find where you are going to get there and to get back. This session is just going to be about the first objective, which has a couple of parts. First, the oldest goblin is said to be in possession of a map to Mount High Up Pointy Place, a goblin named Grampy Grumble. Second, the hobgoblins guard the gate and won't let anyone leave without the proper paperwork. And finally, there are the nasty wargs that have recently gotten a taste for goblins. A pack of them have been sniffing around the gates to the Green Pits.
So how does gameplay work?
Yes, that seems important to explain. So each of you will take turns taking an action. It can be anything from building a catapult to talking to another creature or performing a distraction. You roll a dice to see if you were successful, and if the action you are taking is tied to your action or dream or anything like that, then you get to roll an additional d6 and gain 2 effects. We can go through what each of the rolls do as they come up.
All right, I'll go first, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, go for it.
Fine, but I get to go second.
All right, Ben, Baraka Rock is going to go talk to Grampy and try to convince them to give us the map. I want to try to lean on my mysticism of being able to talk to plants and talk about how the plants want me to have this map.
Okay, since that involves your quirk, you can roll 2d6.
That is a 6 and a 2.
On a 6, you get an immense success and are able to complete the task you were trying to, but on a 2, you get injured. Baraka Rock goes to talk to Grampy and in a bid to win him over with your magical abilities, you rub a leaf you find all over yourself. Unfortunately, it happened to be poison ivy. Grampy found that hilarious and did indeed give you the map, though. It is a simple drawing. There is a circle on it that says pits and a triangle that says high up pointy place, but it's enough to give you a general direction that you are headed in.
That was easy.
Speak for yourself. Barack will return to the group, covered in red rashes and scratching himself like crazy, while also writhing in pain.
What was next then? We need to get past some hobgoblins.
Yep. Hobgoblins are just a little bit bigger than you guys, but are very strict rule followers. They have heaps and heaps of ledgers with scribbles and scratches that they claim contains documentation for every rule that all of goblin kind must follow at all costs. At the moment, one of the latest ledgers says that the hobgoblins must keep a watch over the green pits and stop any goblins from leaving except in a time of war. It has led to quite a restlessness amongst the goblins, who are growing quickly in number and have started fighting each other in a restless rage.
There is not a chance that these hobgoblins are telling the truth.
How should we get past them, guys?
Obviously, we have two options. Either we can sneak past them or we can convince them that their ledgers are wrong.
Will they listen to us? Maybe if one of us distracts them, then the rest of us can sneak through the gate.
I'm quite adept at distracting people with my yelling. Fine, I will sacrifice Don as a distraction. Ben, I want to go up to the hobgoblin guards and begin yelling about anything and everything I can think of. Hobgoblins are stupid. Ledgers and rules are for idiots. If hobgoblins were any dumber, they'd be goblins.
All right, you can roll 2d6 as well since you're using your trait to distract them.
That is a 1 and a 4.
Unfortunately, a 1 means instant death, but a 4 means something good happens and Joe will get a +1 on his roll. However, since it wasn't a success, the rest of you have not made it past the gate yet. How does Don the Goblin die?
Well, apparently my last comments made the hobgoblins extremely angry, and they beat Don to a pulp. They are still quaking with fury, and one of them storms off to the nearest pub to get a drink, leaving the gate with one fewer hobgoblin keeping watch.
Perfect. Do you want to introduce your next goblin?
My new goblin leader and holder of the Comb of Destiny is Jay. He's even louder than Don was, and wears a patch of dried grass on his head. He tries to brush this with the comb, but the only result is him poking himself in the eye.
Welcome, Jay. All right, the rest of the goblins stand by, trying to look casual as their friend and brother is murdered by the hobgoblin guards. What do you guys want to do next?
I don't see how to make this relate to my character, but I want to try to reel up the goblins to siege the gate and kick out the hobgoblins. Can I do that, Ben?
Sure thing. You only get 1d6 since you aren't using anything on your character sheet, and you get a +1 from Don luring one of the hobgoblins away.
Damn, that was a 1. So 2 since Don was helping me from beyond the grave.
As you try to get the goblins to come and help, Joden gets smacked in the face by a bigger goblin covered in scabs and boils. Get out of here, you stupid hatchling. He snarls.
All right, so Joden has 1 health left. Is there any way to heal?
Unfortunately, goblin physiology is such that any attempt to heal just results in the wound becoming infected. All right, that concludes our first round, so we are back to Obama. What do you want to do?
Can I go searching for if there's another way out of the green pits?
Yeah, you can do that. Did you want to ask someone, or did you want to just try to find it on your own?
I want to find the nearest tree and ask it. Almighty tree, lend me your wisdom and help me find the way out of here so that I may join you in the soil. Damn, that was a 2. Can I describe my character death then? This is my second wound.
Yeah, go for it.
Barack is still extremely itchy and uncomfortable from the poison ivy, and after a few minutes of not receiving a response from the tree, he begins using the bark to scratch his rashes. This increases and turns into a fervor as Barack in essence turns himself into paste as he can't get rid of the itchiness or the pain.
Ouch, that sounds painful.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Barack, but he was a good goblin and didn't deserve that.
That was quite brutal. Do you want to introduce your new character?
Goblin number 2 for me is named Shrubbers. The green fungus growing out of Shrubbers' ears is extremely thick and plentiful, the true sign of a renowned green mage. In truth, the fungus has already started feeding on his brain, and he is a bit slower than the rest of the group.
If Georgie was here, I think he'd be personally offended.
Yeah, wow, just going all out on him. He's not even here, Barack.
I didn't mean it that way. It just seemed like a good name for Goblin 2.
I think it's a great name. All right, Donald, we are back to Jay's turn.
Jay is going to finish the job that Don started, but be even louder, because that is the way to solve problems. Of course, he isn't the most creative, so he just repeats the same insults that Don had thrown at the hobgoblins. Hobgoblins are stupid. Ledgers and rules are for idiots. If hobgoblins were any dumber, they'd be goblins.
Once again, the hobgoblins are thoroughly distracted. Do you want to roll both of your dice?
That's a 6 and a 5. What do 5s do?
A 5 is a regular success. You need 2 of those or 1/6 in order to pass an objective. So this works out splendidly. The hobgoblins begin huffing and puffing in rage before storming off to the pub following their comrade. All of you are able to make it through the gate. All that is left for step 1 of the quest is to make it past the wargs that are lurking in the area. Joe, you're up next.
All right, I was thinking that my quirk can come in handy here. I am naturally slippery since I am always covered in mud, and I can make the ground a bit slippery too. So I was thinking that when we find the wargs, I can make the ground slippery, and hopefully we can make the wargs just slide past us.
That sounds incredibly risky. And like a stupid plan, Joe?
Yeah, it does. I'm down.
All right, just a short distance down the path. The non-existent hairs on the back of your neck stand on end as you hear a low growling, and just up ahead, you can see 2 wargs stalking towards you.
Here goes nothing. Ben, I want to roll around and make the ground as muddy and slippery as possible so that when they charge at us, they just slide right past.
All right, you get to roll 2 dice for that one.
That is a 5 and a 1.
So you get 1 success. You guys still need 1 more to make it past the wargs, and Joda instantly dies. How does it go down?
As Jode and the others were rolling around, their plan almost worked to perfection. The first warg came barreling past and slid past the group, yelping as it went. Unfortunately, Joden was directly in the path of the warg, and it slides through him like butter, splatting him all over the path.
Poor Joden.
Yeah, but hey, he did his job. Sort of, and in his place we now have Joven. Joven is the oddball of the clutch. Instead of loving mud, he hates it and is always trying to wipe it off. Unfortunately, it seems like instead of sweating, the goblins in my clutch sweat mud, and he can't ever seem to get cleaned. He was the one who initially dreamed of swimming in the pond. And he shared that dream with the other members of the clutch who think that the pond is actually just a mud pit.
It is a bit fun to play a tabletop role-playing game that isn't so serious. I don't get nearly as mad since it seems like the dice are just so much more random, and it isn't so bad to roll low numbers.
It's definitely a nice change of pace, especially after delving into the mansions of madness.
Yeah, this is a lot more chill, that is for sure. To our viewers, if this isn't really your style, you might like our Call of Cthulhu or Dungeons & Dragons adventures more. Those can all be found here in the movies section. And if you are enjoying this, the light and fun gameplay is a lot more similar to our Root the RPG movie, which can be found here. Anyways, just a little plug for the channel. Obama, we are back to Shrubbers for your turn.
My clutch has saved this heirloom since our inception for a moment just like this. I want to throw the cracked bottle at the other warg to try to scare it off.
All right, since you are using your heirloom, you get 2d6.
I got a 1 and a 6. Kind of similar to Joe then.
The 6 does mean that you succeed on the challenge, which means that you have successfully made it past the wargs. However, Shrubbers was very short-lived and has met his doom somehow. Obama, how does it go down?
Shrubbers had the best throw of his life. The bottle smashed into the warg, and it ran away yelping. However, Shrubbers was not mentally prepared to part with the cracked bottle. He rushed over to it and began picking up the pieces, not being particularly careful while doing so. He managed to pick up all of the pieces, but the effort proved too much, and he falls to the ground, collapsing on top of his precious heirloom.
Dan, I actually feel a bit bad for these little goblins. Seems like not much goes well for them.
They do seem to always get the short end of the stick.
No joke. I've already lost 2 of mine. All right, my next goblin is going to be Donatello. He has purple fungus growing out of his ears instead of green, which is actually a more potent form of the fungus and has allowed him to hear the plants. Well, he thinks he does at least. In truth, it is just auditory hallucinations.
Welcome, Donatello. Well, you have cleared the 3 hurdles and are on your way to the base of Mount High Up Pointy Place. Unfortunately, something I did not tell you is that goblins seem to have a sort of magnetic aura that draws in bad luck. Once at random, during each of the steps towards your objective, a misfortune happens. As your group leave the battle camp and being marching towards the mountain, a magpie, sleek with black and white feathers, swoops down and snatches the Comb of Destiny from Jay the Goblin, carrying it away to its nest in a nearby tree.
You're kidding me. That's mine.
I guess we need to get it back.
I don't want to climb the tree.
Well, it is your turn next, Joe. What is Joven doing?
I want to build a catapult or a slingshot or something to try to knock the nest out of the tree. That seems safer than climbing it, and I'll use my ogre toothpick as the linchpin for the catapult to hold it in place until we load it and are ready to fire.
All right, that's a bit iffy, but I'll give you the 2d6.
That's a 6 and a 3, so I succeed immensely, but also something bad happens.
Yeah, that's right.
The catapult that we build works perfectly, and it knocks the nest down from the tree. The disgruntled magpie runs away as well. Unfortunately, the weight of the rock we put in the catapult was too much for the ogre toothpick, and it shatters in the process of holding it in place. My goblins are going to rally around the remains of the toothpick, wailing and screaming at the unfairness of the world.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
That was well played, Joe. I'll give you that one. Sorry you lost your toothpick. I don't think it's great that we are already down 2 heirlooms and only just completed task number 1.
Yeah, but at least I still have my Comb of Destiny. And let's be honest, that's the most important one.
Maybe to your goblins. We had our cracked bottle for our entire lives, carrying it with us, admiring the smooth and yet sharp glass. My goblins were planning on pricking their thumbs every morning that we woke up in an act of worship towards the bottle.
That's pretty weird, Obama.
Well, we would have seen how it went. All right, guys, do we continue up to Mount High Up Pointy Place then?
Well, that actually seems like a good place to end this first session.
Okay, so we can try to handle one task per session. Is that what you are thinking, Ben?
We will see how it goes, but that's the plan. Yeah, starting with task 2, things do get more difficult going forward. You now need 3 successes per step of the task. However, to help balance things out a bit too, your goblins have learned something new. Every goblin has 2 thumbs, and giving a thumbs up to another goblin allows them to do better at whatever they were doing. The goblin receiving the thumbs up can choose to either reroll the dice they just did, or they can gain a +1 to that roll.
That's pretty cool. Means you can avoid death for sure, or just try again if we are in a tight spot.
I don't need that, but I'll give you guys thumbs up. I always roll great.
You did lose Don, though. I guess you've only lost the 1 goblin, and I have lost 1 as well.
I lost both Barrack and Shrubbers, so I'm down to 3 left. Still, making it out of task 1, only having lost 4 goblins doesn't seem too bad.
Except that the tasks get more difficult as we continue onward. It's okay, guys. I'll just carry us like I always do.
You don't always carry us.
I beg to differ. I'm always the last one standing. I never give up, and I usually do the most damage out of all of us.
I'm pretty sure my wizard did more damage than your fighter.
Only when Ben specifically intervenes to give you an advantage.
I don't think that's true.
All right, guys, that's enough of that. You all contribute to the team in different ways to all of our viewers. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. We hope you like this new game, and make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment if you want to see more of Goblin Quest, or if you have a particular RPG you are a fan of. We probably won't get to all of them, but we are always welcoming ideas. We will see you all next time.